forget to like this video if you like it. Click subscribe, click notifications for future contents, and don't forget to share it with a friend. Shalom, shalom, greetings, blessings, everyone. This is Mike Allen here, digging in the Word with our show tonight, Masculinity Monday, and we got another show. Got a great show. Prayerfully, this will be an interactive, well learned, well engaged, piquing interest, all of the above, all the 9 yards. Looking forward to this. I got my family in the background. I'm gonna bring them in. Greetings, shalom, shalom, blessings, everyone. Good,
Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom,
good,
shalom.
good.
How's it going, guys?
Guys, you guys made the grand appearance, right? Say the best for last. What's going on? How's everything?
Good.
Good, good. It's good. It's good. How's everyone's
Yep.
week going so far? Anything new? Anything exciting? Anything interesting that's going on in our lives, in our worlds, in our spheres?
Nope. Just reading and learning, getting on the schedule.
Reading and learning. Okay, that's good. That's a good place. That's a good place to be. It's a good place to be. It's a good place to be.
Well,
Anything exciting? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm excited about all the new information that's coming out about new statistics and things like that. Knowledge is increasing in terms of we have all this access to
Mm-hmm.
information,
Mm-hmm.
and we could better. Sometimes you always need the Ruach to give us guidance, but when he leads me into new topics like this one
Right,
that haven't explored in a while, it's exciting,
right.
and your eyes open,
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. I mean, it definitely, you know, you look at people in relationships, the couples, right? One of the main things that's often said about couples is either they grow apart, or one is growing and the other one stopped growing, or the one started evolving and the other one stopped evolving. It's something to be said about growth in terms of the communication within our relationships. And so that's a very important part that I believe to the relationships to all of us collectively and individually within the kingdom is
Mm-hmm.
that it's intended for us to learn so that we can grow together in knowledge, right? Hence, I think it's Ephesians, the 4th chapter, and Paul talks about until we meet the measure of the perfect man, right?
Yes,
Gave us the
yes,
apostles, prophets, pastors, teachers, evangelists for the
yes.
perfecting of the saints, right? So there's this maturing process, right, that the body is undergoing collectively and individually, right? And hold on, they was hitting me. Collectively and individually, I need to step away. Let me get a moment
Okay. Oh, okay,
Sure.
okay.
before we get started.
Yeah.
You
No,
guys
well,
continue. Please continue.
So, what to what Brother Mike was saying, I think that'll be a good thing to address as far as addressing growth. I was just watching something. What was the lady, Leah Remini? She's 54. She divorced her husband after 28 years of being together, but her public answer was that they grew apart.
yep.
You
That's
know,
such a
saying that,
cliche.
oh, well, hey, I just outgrew him, and that's the same thing that Tia Mowry said. Well,
Mhm.
you know, after so long, you grow apart. No, you don't. You
Mhm.
don't grow apart. Our great grandparents didn't grow apart, and they were together all their lives, man. So I think
Yeah,
that'd be a good
yeah.
topic to address.
That is a saying that we throw out there so quickly and don't think of what it means. There's no definition anymore. Just
I'm sorry, what was that, sister?
I say we women, we don't even remember what that saying means anymore. This
Oh,
growing apart. It's just an excuse. I see it now.
It's cliche at this point.
Just a cliche, yeah.
yeah, because you don't grow up, you grow older. You know, like you get less of what you are. You know,
Mhm.
us as humans, like we peak around 32, and then we just kind of we go down from there. You know,
Yeah.
it's just kind of a matter of time at that point. So
What do
there,
you mean by that? I'm a lot older than that. You mean we go down from there, brother?
sometimes health wise, sometimes
Oh, okay,
mental
okay,
capability wise,
okay. Hmm.
but
You mean physically we peak at 32?
yeah,
Physically.
oh yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, well,
Okay,
physically, some
okay, yeah.
people, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, you're
they
right.
don't mean you can't get peak at at 55
Mm,
or 52, but truth be
mm,
told, a lot of people we deal with out in the world,
mm.
they peak at 18 mentally, and that's where they stay. Honestly,
That is sad. I don't think the brain needs to peak at that age, so it can still continue to grow. It's wiser, hopefully.
absolutely, absolutely. But do they do it? Nah,
Mm,
not. It's not likely.
mm.
I'm back, guys. I'm back. I'm back. All right. Good, 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 good. Um, we got some comments that came in. Uh Ari Heights, Shalom, sister, blessings to you. Good to see
Shalom,
you.
shalom, sister.
It's good to be
Shalom.
with us
Hello,
tonight.
Sister
Looking
Ari.
forward, looking forward to your input in especially in this topic tonight. All right, all
Mm,
right.
mm,
And Amariah, Amara, yeah, Amaria, Amariah,
Hello.
Amara, Amaya, Amaria. All right. Shalom, shalom, blessings to you.
Shalom, shalom.
Glad that you're here with
Shalom.
us. All right, all right. Look forward to engaging with you tonight. Feel free, chime in the conversation. All right, glad to have you. All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. All righty. So we got a show tonight. We got a topic. Okay. We've heard this. Many of us have heard this topic before. Um, all right, brother Brian Barr, shalom, blessings to you. Mr. Shabbat stream was catching up, but paused it to be here in the live. That's
Shalom,
right,
shalom,
brother.
brother.
All right,
Shalom.
shalom. Good to see you, man. Good to have you. Good to have you. Good, good, good. Yeah. So, we got a topic tonight. Let's get back into. Once again, I want to welcome everyone to Masculinity Mondays with Mike Allen and friends. These are my brothers and my sister on the panel with me, and those of you in the chat family and our the extended family in the chat room. Look forward to tonight's discussion. As you know, this is a man cave, but of late we've had the privilege of having our sisters come in and getting their perspective to help us to understand the dynamics of the relationships that we as men have with sisters and with women, with mothers, with wives, with daughters, right? And so it's important to be able to learn as much as we can from all aspects as we can. So tonight's topic, before we get into it, I'm going to ask Brother Manilow if he'd be so kind to open us up with a word of prayer, if that's okay.
Right. Our Yah, we come to you humbly in the name of your son Yahusha. We thank you and praise your name. We thank you for us being safe today and us making it home and being able to come home to our families. And we just I thank you for this time with my brothers and sister that we get to discuss things and reason and learn tonight. And we just pray that with your ruach that you just teach us new things tonight and give us revelation and help others. And if anyone new comes here, that they gain something from this. And we just thank you and praise your name in your son's name, Jesus, Yahusha. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen,
Thank you,
amen.
brother. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So tonight's topic, um, most of you, okay, I just want to make sure this tab is useful here. Okay. Okay. Just want to make sure. All right. So tonight's topic, many of you have likely, okay, if you tuned into the manosphere, right? What they call it, red pill, right? If you tune into the manosphere, you've heard this term that we're using tonight in our title. And we want to dig into this term tonight. So we're going to dig into the topic, how single moms often create son husbands. How single moms often create son husbands. Okay. So right off the back, family, what is meant by son husband? Those of you who have heard the term or just probably seen the term for the first time, just deducing, what do you think that this term can possibly mean? A son husband. You mean a son that's a husband or a husband that's a son? Um, what does that term mean?
Depends on what community you're asking.
Okay.
For us, it means that a young man who has been groomed, reared, and raised in the way of taking the place of the husband beside his mother,
Right. Okay.
without the intercourse. But
Hmm.
it's a little different in Alabama.
Yeah. It's a little different.
All right.
Oh man. Okay. All right. All right. We starting already. We just got started. Now we just said the intro, man. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. Shots fired. All right.
Ah, but there is a term for that's very similar, and it's called emotional incest.
It's emotional incest. Yeah, that is a term that we have up there. We're going to definitely get to that term, emotional incest.
Mm.
Shalom, brother Shelton Williams. He said the definition of son husband is Kevin Durant.
Yes.
Any of you that follow basketball, he is clearly a mama's boy, right? And
Mm.
a big one at that. He says,
Mm.
a Kevin Durant, U.S. example number one. Good one, brother.
But you
Yeah.
use the term "mama boys." Is that the one that comes up often too? I guess.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's the old term, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
That was used, but I think the son husband, as we get into it, it's more clinical,
Hmm.
right? I think mama
Hmm.
term is like it, traditionally, culturally, we kind of like knew that there's this effect that the mother has on the son, right? Which
Hmm.
develops and conditions him to be, rears him to be a mama's boy, right? And so, um, with that being the case, right now we have this clinical term. I don't know how long the clinical term has been about, right? I just heard about the term probably like about a year and a half ago, right? Right, about a year. That's when I first heard the term, son husband. I never heard that term, and then I never even heard of the term emotional incest, right? Which we will get into tonight, right? We have some more comments coming in. Our brother Sheldon says he kisses mama all in the mouth. Oh yeah, that's true.
Well, that's crazy.
True. Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Wow.
Yeah, Kevin Durant. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's kind of like I'm gonna give you guys an image. I'm gonna give you guys an image. If I could pull her up, here we go. This is kind of like how it starts, right? And I'm just using this. Here we go. As a prop, right? If you could see
Oh
what
yeah.
I have up here, right? This is kind of like how it starts,
Oh yeah.
as a baby. And I think this is big as I could enlarge it. And brother Jay, if you know if there's a way if I can enlarge this more, I don't know.
Um.
Right.
Yeah. You. I
But
mean.
I think we could pretty much see everyone can pretty much see it, right? This is
Yeah.
it's a mom with her baby boy, The toddler looks about,
Hmm.
and she's kissing him in the mouth.
Yep, they've normalized this.
It starts off like this,
Hmm.
right?
Mhm,
Starts off,
mhm.
definitely starts off like this. Right?
And it's interesting that you, like you said, Jeremy, brother Jeremy, it is very. It wasn't like that traditionally to kiss a child in the mouth.
Right, 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 right. No,
At least not in my culture. I don't know about American culture, but not in ours.
right.
Shots. Nah, but
And then this is the one. What were you gonna say, brother Jay?
Mhm,
no, I was just saying that yeah, traditionally it wasn't so here.
Right, was it
mhm,
so? So, like in this one right here, this is the one we use in our thumbnail, right?
mhm.
Clearly, like, I mean, does this shot look okay to you guys?
That's not his mama, is it?
That's his mom,
Dang, she
his
look good.
mother and son photo.
She look good for her age. They look the same age, really.
Yeah,
Maybe she had him young, and that's usually how it starts as well.
Oh
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. That's the thing
Mhm.
too.
They look for coping mechanism for because they look for coping mechanism for the failed relationship, and it generally
Hmm.
falls onto the next male closest to him, which is
Mm,
unfortunately the son.
mm.
Hmm. And
Wow.
and you see the normal physical uh, safe space that we make, safe space we make as females against a man's approach.
Right.
We we allow relatives to come a little bit closer, but there is inappropriate touch that we know of as females that I wouldn't let a brother touch me in a certain way. But
Right.
those boundaries, like if you take a good look at that picture, those
Yeah.
boundaries become so familiar with the child that
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
lost the sense
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
of
Because
that.
like clearly, like his hand is over her breast.
Mm.
That's a no-no,
It's
right?
not just over the breast; it's locked. So he more than copping the field. That's
Yeah. That's
that's
a,
his territory right here in this picture.
and they're comfortable,
Yeah,
Yeah.
right?
yeah, they're very
They're
comfortable.
comfortable,
See,
right? They're
yeah, yeah.
comfortable, right? Yeah. Interesting. Wow. Wow. There's a
What?
scene in the show that used to be on HBO, The Game of Thrones. I don't know if any of you watched it. I watched that perverted show back in the days. But on a Game of Thrones, there was a scene where there was this queen, and she had, I thought this boy had to have been like about either 9 or 11 or something, like you know what I'm talking about, right, brother Danielle? 9, 11. Mommy, I'm
Not a.
hungry. And she pulls out her breasts and
Oh
she's
my God.
breastfeeding him. And then when they go to switch from the scene, then there's the scene of him pulling off the breast, and then he got the milk going down the side of his face. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I would have been crying.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm hungry. Right.
mm.
And so the thing about that is that, the woman's what's the word? Her what's the word for breast?
Mammograms. No,
Mammalian
no.
glands, whatever.
Glands.
Right. They have
Yeah.
the ability to produce, right, as
Mhm,
long as the child is sucking, right? And so,
mhm,
but there should be this cutoff point, right? And we'll get into
mhm.
that too. But there should be a cutoff point, certainly when a child has teeth, right? That's another thing. You don't want to get, she doesn't want to get bit, or does she want to get bit, right? That's
Well,
another
the
thing.
children learn not to bite. That's another thing. But that's not the point. Is you have to pull the child away. The
You have
children
to
know
pull the
not
child.
to.
There has to be some efforts, right? Okay. There
Mhm.
has to be some efforts. Sister Irie Height says, I can't make that ooey ooey, right? I can only pray that this passes by untouched. After so many weeks, months of waking up to crucial mistakes as a woman, not having known her place in the past. Yes.
No.
She says this pic is upsetting. Yeah,
The
indeed.
thing about it, my sister, we all seen this. As we admit, as women, we've all seen other women do this,
Right.
and it's become so normal that nobody's speaking about it because we're not allowed to speak
It's
about it, right?
normalized behavior. Yeah,
Mhm.
normalized behavior, right? And but now we're dealing with the topic at hand, the son husband,
Mhm.
and it's it's what we it's the effect right, of those boundaries being crossed, right? Like Sister Deborah said, there's no pulling away, right? There should be a pulling away by the mother, by the mom, right? She should make
Mhm.
efforts to pull away, right?
Mhm.
But instead, she doesn't for whatever reason. Let's look at a video, if we can, if we may. Let me stop screen, present. Okay, here we go.
And men without a father in the picture. Those who know. Electro complex. Obviously,
All right, let's take it from the beginning.
women who raise boys and men without a father in the picture. Those who know. Electro complex. Obviously, we'll draw the line at like physical incest, but you want your son to take the place and fill the void of a partnership for a man in your life. And so what happens is he takes that role where it's like, oh, this is my partner in a sense, because he feels that void where we're going out, we're doing things, it's male energy, right? And then what happens is another woman comes into the picture. She's threatening your position. It's like, who does hoe, right? But you can't reconcile it because you're his mom. Moms struggle with relinquishing the role of who the woman and the primary person in that man's life is going to be. In healthy dynamics where the mom is married and the mom is in a happy relationship with their partner, this doesn't happen. When the mom is married and in a healthy dynamic with their partner, this doesn't happen. Women who raise boys and men.
So this is the reason why the title of today's discussion is how single moms often create son husbands, right? And it can, you know, it can likely happen even when a woman is married, which is what this woman is implying here. She's implying the thing that prevents it is a woman that's married in a healthy relationship, right? With the her husband's child, her and her husband's child. So when that relationship is healthy, you don't see stuff like this, right? But if it's unhealthy, indefinitely, if she's single, and it's an unhealthy relationship that she has with that child, you see things like this. Let's look at another one.
Raising my son to be a good man so my future daughter-in-law won't have to. Son, what is a period?
It means that girl bleeds every month.
Absolutely correct. And how do you think that makes them feel?
It makes them feel tired and bloated.
Yes, it absolutely does. Good job, son. And what do you think would make them feel better?
Chocolate and a yes day.
Yes. What's a yes day?
It means you gotta say yes to whatever they say.
Up top. Good job, knowledge.
And he's kind of like bending his head to the side, leaning his head to the side, licking his tongue out.
because he's unsure.
It's sure, but he's also seemed like he has some gestures because this is what the mom is feeding into him emotionally,
Okay.
right? So, but language is not only learned from what you hear, it's said, it's also from what you see visually, right? It's body language is most of our communication, right? So you can tell he's been influenced by her body language, not just what she
Mhm.
said, but the body language and how she says it. She just needs to get a yes day, which means she gets some ice cream and whatever it is that she wants, right? Um,
Mhm.
what do you guys think of all of this from the first video, this video? What do you think now? Okay, this thing about a son husband.
The second video that the woman said, "My son," so I knew it was going from that particular
Right.
point of view. But is it all right if I read a quote really quickly, brother Mike?
Yeah, sure.
So I've been diving into this book, The Case for Father Custody, and on page 9 there's an excerpt by Leon Dash. I posted it on my page, like, I think last week or something, and it says, Leon Dash describes how it works in the Washington ghetto. The pregnancy brought out feelings of possession on the part of the father of her twin boys, feelings that both frightened and angered Charmaine, being the mother. The man had begun to act as if he had marriage papers on me. This is Charmaine from her point of view. He had got real domineering. I wouldn't stand still for it. He acted like he was more my father than my boyfriend. I told him, "Get your ass out of my house." Um, so when the woman's pregnant, the man is looking to protect her. And from the second video, I want to say, the woman's just not having it.
Hmm.
From the very first video that you played, it actually triggered this excerpt in my mind, and I had to go find it right here because she's and I agree. Like when they're in a good marriage, and it's a healthy marriage, the woman can sit back in her position. But when it's not healthy, or she comes from an unhealthy environment coming into a marriage,
Right.
or even if it's just how she's raised, because a lot of us are raised generationally with this type of mindset.
Hmm.
You know, it's yes to what the woman wants all the time, and it's mama, mama, mama.
Right.
I know you, brother Allen. You've seen Chris Rock before, right? You've seen his jokes. He has a joke where he's talking about this. He said, "We got all these songs for mama. I love my mama. A song for my mama." He said, "What does daddy get? Papa was a Rolling Stone." So that's setting
Yeah,
the stage, and I'll land my plane here. That's setting the stage for
Right.
how to really show how we're interacting today, and
Mm.
just the fact that it needs to change, and also this pushback against just patriarchy
Right.
when it's set in place to protect. And I
Right.
yield.
Yeah. Yeah. No, these are great points, man, that you put out there. Any of you want to add to that? Aki, brother Danny.
I think the the second video was disturbing because it's basically like uphold the matriarchy, and teaching him how to be a simp from an early age.
Yeah. 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 Teaching him how to be feminine, right?
Yeah,
You know, um, and like it's automatically now ingrained in him that this is what the woman is supposed to have when she has her. Like I, my, first of all, I've never heard of a mother explaining what a menstrual is like to a little boy as she would to a little girl.
exactly.
Why does he have to know what a menstrual is like? Like that's sex education. That's hygiene education for a little girl, not for a little boy.
So that's what they call it, emotional incest. That is when you cross the
Yeah,
borders,
of course.
lines of
Yeah,
intimate conversations with the
yes.
child, and that's part of
Inappropriate.
the son husband.
Appropriate.
Inappropriate conversations with
Yeah,
children
yeah, for sure.
because you see them as your partner, like.
Yes, yes. She's making him into one of the girls.
Mm-hmm.
One of the girls. Brother Danny, what you were gonna say?
I mean, the little I can add is that this is very common, and if you do a survey of most boys, probably a large percentage grew up in homes like this,
Right.
or grew up in dynamics like this, and so you grew up without an identity of your own. Um, you are emerged by your mother's emotions, and you are kind of programmed to do everything to please a woman, and
Right.
the first person is your mom.
Yeah. You
it's
know,
it's pervasive. It's I'm sorry, please.
no, guy, because you making me think. What you're saying is making me think of some things. Go ahead, keep talking because you're making me think. Go ahead, bro. That's a good thing. Keep you making me think. I want
Yes.
to think.
So I mean, if it's a single mom, you begin to resent your dad in a lot of ways because you always get a skewed narrative, and the narrative is from what your mom is saying all the time about your dad. And I'm not saying that the dads are always right, but the point I'm trying to say is that you grew up with a certain narrative and it's always one-sided, and you grow up resenting the male figures in your life.
Mhm.
So the point where you realize that no, I need to be a man. I need to have my own personality.
Yeah.
and then all hell will break loose on you because for one moment you want to stand up for yourself. So it's a problem. It's a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah. 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 It is. It is. Yeah. It's definitely a problem. Sister D, you wanted to add anything else on that?
No, it starts at that young age too. You see how comfortable the mother was to do this. So she's been talking like this, and probably even when he was younger, right? But the whole point is that she doesn't have a mature man to speak with, so she will try to have these conversations with the boy,
Hmm.
right?
Wow.
And she won't even see that as she thinks it's a good thing. So that's why she's posting it on
Yeah, she's
TikTok.
supposed to. She's public with it, right? Like I did something good. No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Mhm.
All right. Brother Sheldon says he says son husband is usually raised to be the opposite of his father, who the
Mhm.
mom was hurt by.
Mhm.
Inadvertently, this will surely sabotage his future relationships.
Or he's raised to be what the mom wanted him to be.
What the mom
Mhm.
wanted him to
Because a
be.
lot of times the man starts out being that woman pleaser, but when he
Right.
wakes up and says, "Wait a minute, this is sinking us," then she says, "Yeah, you got
Right.
to go," or she cheats on him. So
Right.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Right.
Mhm.
just to add to that, I think this is the beginning of creating Mr. Nice Guys.
Hmm.
Because
Yes.
this
Yes.
is where the programming starts. You don't want to be like your dad. Your dad is so evil and all that until
Yes.
you realize that
Man,
it's
Yeah,
literally
my mother used to say that. My mother alienated me from my father, right?
mine too.
Yeah, and my mother, you're just like your father.
Oh man,
You're just like your father.
to a young boy, that is like a whip to his
Yeah,
heart.
yeah. No, like my father must have been a really bad guy
Yeah.
because this was the person that I trusted, right?
Mhm.
But she would say with the emphasis, "You're just like your father. You're getting on my nerves." Like
Mhm.
so. It,
Mhm.
it communicated to me that he was a bad guy.
Right.
He was a bad guy. But thankfully so, I got the opportunity years later, right, to really bond with him in my adult years,
Mm.
up until he passed away in 2019. My mom passed away in 2011. He passed away in 2019. I bawled like a baby when my father passed away. That thing lingered with me. I mean, when I think about it, somebody mentions his name, I just started crying.
Mhm.
Because the relationship and the connection that we built, right? The bonding, right? He was nothing like what my mother, communicated. Maybe there were certain things about him, like, okay, I see what she was saying, but in terms of he loved me. You know what I'm saying? Like my father
Mm.
loves me, and he was deprived. He was
Mhm.
deprived. And
I
so
realize that now.
yeah,
I
he was
realize.
deprived. And that
Mhm.
and she wanted me to be a son husband.
Mm.
Mhm.
She wanted me to be a son husband, right?
Mhm.
By community. Now, of course, we didn't use that term back then, but
Mhm.
you know, I guess the term we used back then was called mama's boy, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that was the term.
Yeah, called mama's boy.
But man, it's it's a it's going to hurt a lot of people when they wake up and realize how much of a liar mama is, how much
Mm,
of a habitual liar she is,
mm,
because the manipulation is so deep
mm.
to do that to a boy, and
Yeah,
then for them to wake up one day and realize for 18 years, for 22 years, or however long, this is how long she not only did she keep the lie going, but she kept piling on it and perpetuating the lie, and
yeah,
that culminated in you missing out on a massive part, and that is having your father a part of your life, a
yeah,
massive part of your life. And
yeah.
so I've talked to I've talked to women like this. Hell, you guys know my story from the interview on this channel. My ex is queuing this up right now. So I'm not gonna say it. You know what? I
It's all
yield.
right.
I
It's all
yield.
right. It's all right. It's all right. It's okay.
Now I was just gonna say it just it's mind blowing. It truly is mind blowing how manipulative people can be, but we're taught the complete opposite.
All right.
through media, through social media,
So,
on TV. We're taught to believe all the all the bullshit essentially.
yeah. And preachers, right?
Yes,
Like
yes.
preachers are reinforcing this.
Oh yes. Like
Big,
with the whole election thing.
yeah, big
It's
time.
like, how does that belong in the pulpit?
Right, right, right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, so yeah, let's go through the rest of these comments. Since Brother Sheldon says, there go that partner word again."
Gosh.
Ari Height says, second video, the woman teaches her son to be a woman pleaser.
Hmm.
Looks like the boy learns to bow to manipulation early too. Yes, very early. In the hands of a how would you say? I would say a weak figured mom, right? In the hands of a weak figured mom, because a strong mother is not going to how would you say, mutilate a boy's masculinity. She's not going to do that. She's not going to sabotage it.
Yeah, because then he won't be able to go out here and survive in the world.
Right. Shalom, brother Tone. Blessings to you. Good to see
Shalom, shalom.
you, brother. Good to see you. Brother Sheldon says, notice in the second video, she says she will train her son so his wife won't have to.
Train.
It's the job of a woman to train her husband. This goes back to the last conversation of manipulation. Yeah. At its finest, it is like, it kind of reminds you of like what the government does, right?
Yeah.
With the propaganda, the media, the education, the false religion, the sciences, and all of these things that the government uses to manipulate people's minds and to steer the thinking patterns and the way how people perceive things within a society, right? And a woman does that in the home. She can do that in the home to little boys.
The sad thing is that these boys are so vulnerable. They're like an empty computer that hasn't been programmed. The software is not yet programmed. So you're telling them this is what a man is, and this is what you shouldn't be because your father is all the opposite. And I'm going to tell you who a man should be, and I'm going to tell you what a husband I want.
Right.
And I want to see this in you.
Right. Exactly.
It's definitely predatory. I mean, even from the excerpt I read earlier, from the womb, that they begin to get possessive over them versus loving on and being under proper authority of the head. They actually begin to resent the man from the time they're pregnant. It's like, wow.
Really?
And is it not amazing that most boys grow up and this same dynamic plays out in the kind of partners they end up with, because they've been programmed to think in a particular way. So you realize that you might actually be seeking out somebody like your mom in a future partner, and then the cycle becomes vicious. It just continues and all that. It's wild.
Yeah. So true. I want to take a look at some definitions, some clinical definitions online of this word son husband, right? Before we take it any further. As you can see here, medium.com says it's enmeshment at the creation of a son's husband. A son husband is a male child, right, who has been emotionally enmeshed with his mother in a way that blurs appropriate parent-child boundaries. So the boundaries have been trespassed, right? Then you have further down, and this is someone gave a definition on Quora. This says, what is a son husband? A son husband is an unmarried son man who is in an unhealthy relationship with his controlling unmarried mother. Whereas I think that you can have a son husband even though he may be married, even though his mother may be married. I think you'll more than likely see it in an unmarried mother and an unmarried son, but you can still see it, and even if the son himself is married. What do you guys say?
Oh yeah.
Is that
That's
possible?
true.
Yeah, you can definitely see it. If they get in the car, mama's going to be in the front seat and the wife is going to be in the back seat. So you see the hierarchy of power there.
Hold on a second. That's not how I fold little Timmy's underwears. If if you're gonna be the wife of my son, you got to learn how to fold his underwears, young lady.
I know of women who insist on having that relationship, even if the boy, the man is a grown man. She's still in their house. She's still in their space. She still wants the attention. She's fighting for the attention from the
Right,
son over the wife, and it's like in competition with the wife.
right, right, right. Exactly, exactly. Why? Because is this is her husband, right? And
Mhm.
in her warped mindset, right? This son is like a husband to her, right? And she doesn't want to give him up. She's prescriptive monogamous with this son, right?
Yeah.
When you really think about it, right? She has to be the one and only.
Mhm.
Urban Dictionary says when a son unknowingly or unknowingly takes the role of a husband to their mother, excluding sex, the mother is often overprotective and jealous. She's often
Mhm.
overprotective and jealous. Mhm. All right. Okay. I'm gonna. There was another video that I wanted to. Okay, we can look at this one right here. Okay, good.
By the way, a boy that's raised by his mother is a very, very, very emotional man.
Very.
And I've seen them all over the internet. They get very emotional. They will kill you over nothing because they've learned to be emotional from a woman. They don't know how to balance emotions. Because you see one thing about men, when men parent, yeah, they parent off of like logic. So children can see the emotional parent.
And you go up and ask the mom and dad as well.
Yeah. So a woman will be like, stop doing this now. But the man will just be like, yo, let me see you do that again. You see that? You even have to shout. Let me see you do that again.
That's why these little guys shout so much.
Let me see you do that again if you're back.
What do you guys think on that one?
It's absolute truth. Absolute truth.
Hmm.
Two different parenting styles. Like women prepare and try to get kids through the now. Men get you ready for down the road.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. It's more long term, it's more long term, right? Is in terms of the trajectory of a male's whereas a mother, right, she's want to make sure that he knows how to clean himself, he's gonna make his bed, he's gonna, you know what I'm saying, like his clothes looks right. And so it's more here and now, whereas the father is more long term. The other thing is that she's just ill-equipped to be able to teach a boy to be a man, right? And I know that's a something that has been said many times over, but it's the truth, right? She's
Mhm.
ill-equipped to be able to teach the boy to be a man, no matter how smart she is, right? No matter how smart she is, she's gonna over mother him, right?
Mhm.
Right? What does that say about, being that I made that point? What does that say about when we've talked about in previous streams about the need for a woman or a wife or a mother to have a head or have someone lead her? So if she's in a place where she needs to be led, right? Um, could it be that if she's mothering, she's gonna have a tendency to mother without boundaries and without
Mm.
having a proper headship, a healthy headship relationship, right, in place, to put that in check, to give her those boundaries, right? Because she could be well intended, right? But what neutralizes is that she has a head that would not allow her to go, what do you guys say, beyond the boundary? What do you guys say about, what do you think about what I just said?
I think you're spot on. There's a tendency to over mother, and sometimes they even try to mother the spouse. I mean, try to, I mean, show the man how he's supposed to be and try
Right.
to be overprotective.
Mm-hmm.
I think it all stems from a desire to control.
Mm.
There's a fear of letting go.
Right.
So I have to do this my way. Everybody has to be the way I want them to be. So my husband has to be this, my children have to be this, and all that.
Right.
And
Right.
somehow I think society too makes it look like it's normal.
Right. Right. So if they can control the little boy, they can control the men in the future to come.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's why so many of them were pissed off when Kamala lost.
Mm.
That's why they were so upset. It's like,
Yeah.
damn, we can't fully get in control.
Right.
The fear and the manipulation is real, but it's that want for power.
The power.
It is so real. It's that want to be like
The precious.
to be like, yeah, the precious. It's that want to be like God.
Precious.
You know, when you look at Genesis, man, like Genesis says that man was made in our image, like
Mhm.
like God and Yeshua. Let's make man in our image. Okay.
Right.
Woman wasn't. She foreign.
Right.
So they said, okay, cool. You want to be like him. You want to be like God. You want to be like the head.
Yes.
You gotta take it by being rebellious and disobedient.
Yes.
And
Yes.
they've been trying the same trick ever since, man.
Yep. Here's
But we're
another.
not doing.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think what you were trying to say, Brother Michael, is basically without a head, we are running without supervision. And just like the children need supervision from the mother needs supervision over her as well.
Exactly. They could be the most. They could be the smartest child in the classroom, right? If they still need to be supervised, right? They still need supervision. You still will go to jail for leaving your 11-year-old genius home alone.
Mm-hmm. It happens all the time, though.
You go to
When
jail.
they're still doing that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It'll happen, you know.
So look, this gonna sound real crazy, right? But hear me out. Some of you moms are girlfriends to your sons, and that's unhealthy because it blurs the boundaries of appropriate parental roles. You see, this leads to emotional dependency, and that can hinder your son's ability to develop healthy, independent relationships with their peers and with their romantic partners. You see, this places extreme pressure on you as the mom to fulfill emotional needs that really should be met by their partner. And that creates an imbalanced relationship where the son, your son, he's going to struggle with intimacy and commitment when it comes to adulthood. Oh, yeah, it's going to happen. But see, listen, this can also foster feelings of guilt and obligation because the son may feel responsible for his mother's emotional well-being. And inevitably, that's going to stunt his personal growth and self-identity. And then as a result, both of y'all usually find yourselves trapped in a cycle of toxic red flag behavior. And you're going to lack the necessary skills to navigate healthy boundaries in future relationships. Stop making your son your man.
So he's saying that it's not only going to affect the boy's relationship, future relationships, it's going to affect the mom's relationships. You know, because he says both of you are going to have red flags in your relationships.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
as a result of this, how can that be? How does that play out?
Well, it plays out with like we see skits all the time, both ways. We see it on TikTok where the man is just over there just to smash a single mom, and the little boy comes in, got a squirt gun, questioning him about being with his mama.
Right.
And then on the flip side, we see TV shows. It's marketed like crazy, especially in the in the Black Negro community, that the husband's just stupid. And the wife knows everything. She's paying the bills. She's taking care of the house.
Right.
She's getting everything together. All the money comes to her, and he's just a dumb mechanic.
Right.
He can't solve nothing.
Right.
Right. And that's how it's constantly being marketed.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, definitely. Anything else on what this previous video?
I think that he made an interesting point about the replacement of the the boyfriend aspect. So a woman is depressed and she's feeling lonely, and she has these conversations with her young boy, her young
Mhm.
preteen, right?
Mhm.
And he doesn't have the skills to meet her emotional needs. That's a lot of pressure on a
Right,
boy, right?
right,
To hear his mother say she's depressed or she's lonely or she wants a husband or whatever she's complaining about, genuinely seeking support for that boyfriend, who is now her son, is ill-equipped, and it can make a child feel very traumatized as he was not able to help his mother, or he's trying to and he's never able to,
right.
you know,
Yeah,
solve it, because
yeah,
boys are supposed
yeah,
to solve it, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like what we talk about here too in this space, a patriarchy of
Mhm.
dealing with women that will guilt trip you, right? They will
Yeah.
use guilting tactics, like, and mothers can use and do use, many moms use guilt tactics, with their sons.
Mhm.
Oh, all of my friends have mothers, all of my friends have sons that, take them out and they take them to the supermarket and they buy them flowers, but my sons, they always got to get in trouble. They always doing bad in school. They always, so you get this mom that now is putting pressure on the son, right?
Mhm.
To try
Mhm.
to fill whatever void, right? Whether it's how she
Mhm.
lives with her friends or the fact that she doesn't have a man, right? So she's
Mhm.
guilting him into taking her out, buy her things, give her flowers for things, Valentine's Day, right? Buy her expensive Christmas gifts, take her on trips, right? Take her on a spa day, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
just give her cash. Just have an allowance. I know a lot of friends who are paying their mothers like their lovers, paying them every month.
Well, she's guilting him in to be a husband and to
Right,
be the
Yeah.
spouse. Like
right, right,
that's a husband's job right there, essentially.
right. And she knows how to push that button because she's been working that button since he was a baby.
Yep, since he's baby.
Exactly. It's a small, small step, little by little, right? Just not.
Yeah.
Right, as brother Sheldon was it brother Sheldon that says kissing all in the mouth.
Right. Kissing them all in the mouth. Right.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
been doing that.
Yeah. Brother Tony says, let me see. You want to read that?
Yeah, brother Tony. That's why we have so many feminine males today. The mother
Mm.
treating the boys like girls, and
Girl.
and that's truly what the issue with relationships are today. These women are seeing the body that they like in a man, and when it gets to the mental isn't there. The mental is already married and secure in their mother.
Right. 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 Exactly. Exactly. So that brings us to this other question here. All right. So
Mm.
have any of you ever heard the clinical term emotional incest? And if so, what is emotional incest? Emotional incest. I mean, if you just look at those two words together, right?
Oh yeah, you can definitely put together. No,
You can,
I haven't heard it. I haven't. Well, didn't you bring that up, Sister D?
she brought it up. I said we
Yeah.
would get into it a little
Yeah.
later.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really subtle. It really subtle. Maybe you guys have had experienced it, but you didn't realize it. So, for example, that first conversation the woman had with her
The
young
look.
son about inappropriate discussion for his age,
Mhm.
that is incest. Because really, it's like talking sexual things. A lot of women do that.
Yeah.
They think that they're being
real.
transparent or modern or real, yes, with their children and very open and liberal. But a child needs to play with toys and
Mhm.
break things,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
doesn't need to have conversations about
Yeah.
things that are not his age group to discuss, especially not with his mother,
Right. Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So let's look at an article here. Let me share this tab and bring us in there. All right. Oh, I definitely gonna have to enlarge the print on here because it does
Mm.
not look okay. All right.
It's okay. I got Zoom on my phone.
Oh, okay. Okay, here we go. All right. You know what? Let me put her on a reader.
Oh, it actually worked. Okay.
All right. All right. Here we go. Okay. Yeah, get that out of here. Get that. All right. All right. So, what is emotional abuse? When you guys want to read that, brother Danny, would you want to read? Could you read that for me? You're muted.
What is an emotional incest? Emotional incest happens when a parent or caregiver depends on the child for the emotional needs that a romantic partner would otherwise offer. Another term for it is covert incest. It does not include sexual abuse. The word emotional or covert means that this form of incest is not visible to others and harder to spot than incest related to sexual abuse. This article describes emotional incest in more detail, provides examples of behavior that may indicate emotional incest, and looks at its impact on children and young people.
Right. It's interesting. You stop right there. It's interesting. It says, the reason for the term covert is that because it's not sexual, it's harder to spot, right? And that's the thing. Like, you can think like, okay, he grew up to be a fine young man. He has a wife, he has children, but not, and that he has a nice career. He went to school. He's never gotten into trouble, and he looks polished on the outside, right? But there's turmoil inside his home because he's a son husband, and it's creating havoc and tension within his marriage. Yeah. All right. You want to read further?
According to the American Psychological Association, emotional incest is a form of emotional abuse. It happens when a parent or caregiver uses the child for emotional needs that they should be obtaining from their adult romantic partner. This violates the boundaries between a parent and child. Psychologists sometimes call this covert incest or enmeshment.
Mm-hmm.
In an emotionally incestuous relationship, the parent or caregiver depends on the child as an emotional security blanket. It means that the child has to put the wants and desires of the parent first to receive the parent's approval. In some cases, the adults treat the child as if they are a love life partner. However, what makes emotional incest distinct from other types is that there is no sexual contact. Emotional incest differs from a typical close relationship between a parent or caregiver and a child. In cases of emotional incest, the closeness results from the adult putting themselves first and in the process harming the child's well-being.
It's so selfish.
What is the difference between emotional incest and enmeshment? The APA defines enmeshment as a relationship between two or more people in which they become involved in each other's activities and relationships too much, limiting each person's independence and sense of self. Emotional incest is a specific form of enmeshment that includes a parent or caregiver and a child. What are the signs of emotional incest? According to the book, The Emotional Incest Syndrome: What to Do When a Parent's Love Rules Your Life by Dr. Patricia Love, the following are examples of emotional incest. Relying on the child for support. This may include talking with the child about their relationship problems, seeking the child to console or comfort them, or asking the child for inappropriate advice. Putting their needs before their child's. The caregiver may want endless praise and love from the child or seek to be the most important person in the child's life, while at the same time hurting the child's other relationships. Invading the child's privacy. Examples include entering the child's personal space frequently or preventing the child from having a space of their own. The caregiver may also do things that make the child feel awkward, such as ignoring the child's wish for privacy when they are nude or being nude around a child.
It's crazy.
Using a child like a love life partner. This could consist of taking the child on dates, discussing their sex life, or making explicit comments about the child's body or appearance. The caregiver may also insist that the child call them names typically reserved for adult relationships.
Mhm.
However, in cases of emotional incest, there is no sexual contact. And then the last one, feeling jealous of the child's relationships. When the child becomes an adult, the parent or caregiver may become envious of their romantic relationships. They may compete for attention, intrude on, or attempt to sabotage them. A caregiver must not do all these things to engage in an emotional incest. A relationship is emotionally incestuous if there is a consistent lack of parent-child boundaries.
Mhm.
Caregivers who engage in this behavior may not realize that it is harmful. The child involved may feel that the relationship is simply special or that it cannot be abusive because it does not include sexual contact. What are the effects of emotional incest? Health experts do not know how common emotional incest is, and little research on its effects exists. However, psychologists in this field claim that the impact on their clients is similar to that of physical incest. In his book, Silently Seduced, When Parents Make Their Children Partners, psychologist Kenneth M. Adams states that emotional incest can cause a love-hate relationship with a caregiver, feelings of abandonment toward the other parent or caregiver who has left the household or allowed the behavior to continue, difficulty identifying and fulfilling personal needs because the person is so used to caring for others, feeling inadequate and unworthy, sexual dysfunction or sex addiction, compulsive behavior or addiction, difficulty forming lasting intimate relationships. Since the publication of this book, researchers have developed the Childhood Emotional Incest Scale, which aims to measure how emotional incest has affected a person during their childhood. According to the Journal of Counseling Psychology, high scores on the Childhood Emotional Incest Scale accurately predict increased anxiety and low levels of life satisfaction.
Mm.
All right, so yeah, we can stop right there. We don't have to go any further on that. So, what do you guys think on this? On the effects of this, a love-hate relationship with the caregiver, right? It's interesting. We're gonna go into another um level of this, and it has to deal with the effect of a child's sexuality, right? In which they kind of touch on it here. And I think this one right here, where is it? Sexual dysfunction or sexual addiction.
Right.
Mhm, mhm.
So yeah, go ahead, brother.
Now I was going to say it reminded me of, of Sister Deborah. She says it all the time on her channel. Calm down, calm down. She better
What if
come
I
to that
got in
camera.
too?
Has she been mothering you?
No, I was going to say it reminded me of her every time she speaks about Auntie Mimi.
Auntie
It's
Mimi,
just
yeah, yeah.
it's just a deeper understanding into Auntie Mimi. That's
Yeah,
what every time you talk, I was like, I'm hearing Sister D say Auntie Mimi. Auntie Mimi.
yeah, man, because it's all about me, me, me.
Yeah.
And the mother does train the son and the child. And when you have to say about emotional incest, it really it's deeper, I think, when it's the opposite sex. So it's the mother acting inappropriate towards the son,
Hmm.
right?
Yes, yes,
And the father acting inappropriate towards the daughter. But today we're really focusing on that relationship with dynamic between the men.
yes,
Um, and we women get away with a whole lot of stuff.
yes,
We
yes.
do, it's so easy to fall into that.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. And not realize at the same token what are the long lasting effects, right? Because
Yeah,
that's pretty much what we got up here on the screen. Sister
yeah,
Ari Heights wanted to, give a respect and say thanks for tackling this heavy topic. Got to follow up later. Need to get rest as of sick.
Yeah, she's not feeling well, so we'll pray for you tonight.
Yes, ma'am.
Bless,
Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
we'll pray for you, sis. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Pray for her. All right.
Um,
Yeah, go ahead.
but
You wanna
another
say
thing she mentioned on this article is a great article, and maybe we want to put a link with it
Yeah, I'm gonna
into
put a
the
link. I'm gonna put a
description.
link of this in the description box. Definitely. Hmm.
And
But another thing I just wanted to mention is the inappropriate dressing. Especially in the Caribbean, we have a lot of that. Sometimes the women, we forget that their boys are growing up and they're no longer babies, and
Right.
and that confuses young boys
Right.
to see that and embarrasses them, but they don't want to say anything.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, in the barbershop environment, I see it all the time where you have single mothers, they will come in. You could tell this overcompensation, but they gotta act aggressive, embarrass the boy, right? He's like twice the woman's size, but she's telling him how he has to get his hair cut. No, you shouldn't wear it like that. That's not gonna look good. No, you should do it like this, and I mean, she's like in the barber's way because she's so into, enmeshed, into this boy's time of just getting his hair cut. And then like talking aggressive and loud, and like I said, embarrassing him and so forth and whatnot. Yeah, I see it a lot. I see it a lot. I see it a lot. You can tell. You can tell.
But what do you all think when women, especially these days, we dress very hypersexually in public, but we bring our sons around like the child is right behind you.
That's so dangerous, and it's so bad, and it's so humiliating to the boy.
It's humiliating.
Now he has to deal with these men looking at his mother in a ways that he doesn't want men looking at his mother.
Exactly, and that is, to me, is abusive.
That's abusive.
Yeah.
That's abusive.
It reminds me of this video where there was a wedding reception and a young boy looked like he was about 9 years old or some 8, 9 years old, and he seen his mother twerking on another guy. And he came up to him and he stopped her. He was pissed off. And I'm like, a son should never have to see his mother doing anything like that.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. And just like imagine you have sons and they have moms that's in the sex industry, OnlyFans, right? They got IG pages, right? And so now you got their boys looking at their moms like, yo, look at so and so, look at Jeremy's mom, yo.
They have infinite ammo to roast that kid.
No, there's a recent article, brother. You mentioned that, but I think I just read it last week. One of the children self-deleted because of that. It was his mother was on IG, and the whole school knew about it, and he couldn't handle the pressure of it.
Wow.
Real fools, man.
Wow. Yeah, let's check out this video right here.
While you're pulling that up earlier, I was going to hop in. They're putting these boys in a protector role too early.
Exactly.
And they're going to end up trying to overcompensate for not being able to protect them at like 9 or 5 years old. By by growing up, joining the gang, because now in the gang they got the manpower and the strength to protect now.
Yeah, makes sense. All right.
Oh yes, emotional incest, also known as covert incest, is a real thing. As adults, we all have emotional needs, but those needs must be met by another adult. In emotional incest, the parent turns to the child to get that adult level emotional support. A parent relies on their child and treats them like an adult. The parent talks about inappropriate topics or asks the child's advice on adult matters. When a parent does this, they are essentially stunting their child's development. In a healthy parent-child relationship, the care goes from the parent to the child, and that's exactly the way it should be. It goes from the adult to the child. Children do not want to know about your relationship problems, your mental health issues, your financial struggles. They just want their parents to be happy and they want to be taken care of. People who have suffered from emotional incest can be guilt ridden, they can be angry, they can suffer from self harm behaviors and struggle with romantic relationships. In another video that I made about prioritizing marriage over children, there were a lot of people in the comments who got very upset and threw fits because they said that a man could leave them at any time, but their children would be there forever. Therefore, they would always put their child over a man. I really hope that they mean that in a healthy way and that they have a healthy parent child relationship with their child.
Hmm. What do you guys think of this one? Thoughts?
At the end of it, it was interesting what she said. Like, people focusing more on the relationship with their child, but not trying to get their own husband, or the wife,
Right,
their own,
right,
their own
right.
relationship.
Yeah, move on with your life. Like, you leave this little boy alone. Go get you a man. But okay, good point there that you got us focusing on. Why? Why stop with the little boy and not go out there and get a real man?
Well, because with the little boy, there's a fear of heartache, a fear of rejection. The little boy can't reject you. You're in control of that. So you
Right.
can do whatever you want to do. You can mold it into, essentially your retirement fund.
Right. Yeah, it's like the lion preys on the weakest in the pack, right? So, if how would you say, potential partner opportunities, right, would include the men out there and the boy at home, right? Well, obviously the boy is the weaker, of weakest of the pack, right?
Mhm.
So they're gonna go for the little boy because he's easy to control, right? Yeah.
It's not just control. I can also hear my sister saying that he loves me because he came out of me, right? So there is a genuine mixture of I got this unconditional love from my child that no man can give me, and therefore I'll pour all my love into
Yes.
investing in him, right? Instead of getting hurt.
The
Yes.
I gave you life syndrome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I'm already said the little boy won't challenge them. That's important. Yeah, coming from the little boy's perspective, he's not gonna do what the man would do, right? A man can see, hey, no, this is bad behavior.
Mhm.
But the little boy is like, this is what mommy wants me to do, right? That's it. I do want a new pair of sneakers, right? So I want to go outside, right? So I'm not gonna buck it. He said it takes work to be with a real one, right? And that's not work that they want to do. It's easier because they don't really have to work as hard with the little boy. They've already been grooming this little boy, right? Ever since he was born, right? Yeah, yeah.
What comes to mind is everybody remembers that show Martin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, everybody remember his mama biscuits.
His
But
mama.
also the Jamie Foxx show when his mom would come into town. He loved for her to cook. He was a straight mama's boy. But that
Yeah.
also hindered these guys, and even Steve Harvey, the Steve Harvey show. He was the same way when with his mama. But that hindered these guys from actually getting serious with the woman because they were always either holding back or afraid of disappointing her.
Right.
But when they finally manned up and said, "Okay, well, she can't be doing this," then they finally took that leap.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Aki, anything you want to add to that?
I think in some cases, I don't think it's always that. I don't think it's always that they're afraid of the guy leaving. I think sometimes they just rather pick the child over the man because the child can be molded easier, and they can't control a man like they can control a child. So they rather invest more in their relationship with that child.
The easier option.
Yeah.
The easy option. The easy option.
It becomes even easier, I think, because the child grows with you, right? So now the child is turned 15 and 14,
Right.
and you're getting some payback for your investment, you think, because now he's strong. Now he
Right.
can physically defend you. Now he can really go to the movies with you. Now he can hang out in the ball all day with you. You
Right.
see?
He's got a
Yeah,
job. He can buy you things, right?
He can buy you
yeah.
things. Yes, he has a
And
job. He can pay
they
the bills.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
they love to tell him you're the man of the house now.
Oh yeah, Poppy.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
king. You know, it's like, look at my king, my little king, my
But
king.
he's not really because he still submits to her.
He still submits to her, right?
What a
Right.
mess, right?
Yeah, he's a king that is taught to give his strength.
Hmm.
Right. Unlike, right, King Lemuel's mother in Proverbs 31:3, right? She tells
Mm.
not to give his strength to a woman.
Mm.
In this scenario, the single mom, right, that is using her son as a son husband, right? She's in turn telling him to give her strength. Like even in that video, the woman is with teaching the boy about the menstrual, right, and be
Hmm.
sensitive
Hmm.
in that situation.
Hmm.
She's
Hmm.
literally teaching the boy to give his strength away
Yep, yep, yep,
because now she's telling him you got to cater to her,
yep,
especially when it's that season. You got to
yeah.
cater to her, right?
Just say yes. Just say yes to anything she
Say
says.
just be a yes
It's
boy.
toxic.
Yes, be a yes man. Right. All
But
right.
that goes deep at his age. It really changes the man. I'm just assuming you guys are men.
Hmm. Yeah.
Just a question. It does.
What's the question?
That if you get exposed to that at a young age, that you'll make you more likely to be a
Without
yes man.
without a shadow of doubt. Right.
Yeah, it does.
Without a doubt. Because again, what little boy doesn't want to get the approval of his mother, right? Who's there for him, right? Who gives him all this attention, and and after all,
Interesting that you say
dad
that.
left, right? So dad left, right? So he's a captive audience.
That's true. And in a healthy relationship, I know by testimony that when the father's around, the aim is to get the approval of the father, not the mother.
Not the right,
My mother's was nice to have, but not necessary. My
right,
father's was necessary.
right. If the
Right?
father connects with the boy, right?
Yes, yes. And so he's
Not
always
every
seeking approval. If that's a healthier relationship, the approval necessary from the man. Right?
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. So I want to dig a little bit deeper into the mother's mind here,
Mm.
okay, with this particular question. Do you think the average young man who happens to be a son husband is aware that he is one?
Oh
Good
no,
question.
no.
Before we even go there, let's go to this one. The
Mm.
mother, the mother. I gave the son. That's the next question. Do you think single mothers, right, who may do this type of behavior, may be aware that they're depending on their sons for husband companionship, support, emotionally, physical support, or financial? Do you think they even are aware of this? That's what I'm trying to ask.
Some of them, I truly believe that they are aware of this.
Mm,
Others, as we talked about earlier, it's become a societal norm from
mhm,
our TV shows, especially to our music.
mm,
It's become the norm that men should bow down to women. So there's been a conditioning
mm,
of doing these things.
mhm.
You know,
Do you believe at any chance that there are women? Now, is that safe to say that there are women out there who do believe what's being taught in the culture? Like it's a belief now that
Well,
this is how this
yeah.
boy's got to be raised. Like
You're making it
that's
sound
an
like it's a
ideology
negative
now,
thing.
right?
But brother, you're making it sound like it's negative. I mean, don't you want to raise a feminist? The goal is to raise. I mean, what's wrong with you
Raise a
people?
little feminist, right? That's
don't you
so
want him dancing in the rain?
yeah.
And I mean, we want him to be strong and
He's
independent
sitting
like
down.
me, right?
Yeah, sitting down.
Yeah,
Right. Go ahead.
yeah.
Wait, I gotta he's fidgeting, right? I gotta tinkle.
I mean, no, they glorify it even in the movies and everything. That
Right,
kind of effeminate men that are love their mothers and worship the
right,
women.
right. Yeah, but I mean, it's so dominant within the culture, right?
Mhm.
And this idea that women don't need a man. You have little girls growing up, becoming women and believing that they can literally planning. I'm gonna have a child at such and such age. Once I get my this done and I get that accomplished, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, but not even thinking about marriage, not even thinking
No.
about having a father. She's going to raise a child intentionally because she believes she can. And that's what I'm saying. Like, at what point is it a belief thing with women that do this? Like, are there women that literally believe that they're doing the right thing by these?
Yes, I think so. I think they don't mean their children harm, but according to what I've seen in my practice, then this is done intentionally. It's done without shame.
Right.
Like the mere fact that we're having this discussion as if it's a negative thing is a shocker.
Yeah.
What's wrong? What's wrong with you all?
What do you mean?
And they think like the mother said, they think that they're raising good husbands to be. So he's practicing on me.
He's practicing on me.
I mean, Kevin Durant's mom, she raised a king, right? She raised a king. According to her, everything she did, everything she did came out to this result. So that's going to further, go out into the world to say, "Oh, we right.
Yeah,
we always right."
I remember he was receiving some accolades, and he was up like behind the podium, and he was talking about his career or moments in his career, and he started talking about his mom, and he just started bawling and crying. Just this 6 foot
really?
10,
Wow.
6 foot.
Wow.
Man, he just started crying because he was talking about my mom. She, like it was just he got all choked up. It's like, wow. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just talking about her just made him cry. Right. Okay. And his mom is alive. She was there, right? But I mean, he was talking about how she was there for him, and that's what she was, that rock, right? She, and so I mean, it in a lot of ways, it's not all bad, right? But is he married?
I don't know. Google knows.
Yeah, Google knows, right? Okay, yeah.
So you say that you just said that, Brother Michael. It's not all bad, but where's the line?
Yeah, right.
No,
I mean, it has to have some sort of good in there, right? In order for it to be a lie, right? So, even rat poison, most of the rat poison is food, right?
Most of it is,
Most of it is food. So
we're trying to navigate. I mean, Brother Mandela, where's the line? Do you know where the line is, Brother Mandela?
I don't know. I'm not sure if I know where it is, but I think I know where it would be appropriate start to get inappropriate.
Yeah, when you see wrong, right?
Yeah.
Hey, that don't look right. Right? When that comes. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's flip it now. Okay. Do you guys think the average young and you in the audience in the chat room, do you think the average young man who happens to be a son husband is aware that he is one?
Oh no.
No.
And even if he was aware that he is one, he wouldn't know where to begin to not be one.
Or he might not think that is a bad thing.
Yeah, he's like, right, doing this all my life.
I'm a respectful, I treat women with respect. I treat women with dignity. I think that women have been held back. I think that he's going to go down the line with all of the talking.
I would say that a lot of guys. I would say that a lot of guys say that they're mama's boy with pride.
Oh yeah,
with pride. Yeah, I'm a mama's
boy. That's what rap is today.
Really?
Well, that's what rap was back then too. But we didn't talk about it that much.
Right. Dear Mama. Yeah, that was Tupac, right? Dear Mama. Yeah.
But and he laid it out on that song. It's like when you listen to the song, it's like how are you giving it? How are you still lifting this this female up that did all this to you? This is abuse.
Right, right.
Yeah, that is, but they don't see it. And so I wonder if they did a statistics in like in the inmates, how many of them were raised to be son mothers
Yo,
as
I
well.
listen. I've said this story on here before. You know, you guys know I used to be a correction officer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it just happened today. Like this image is inside my mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
I come on a unit and the counselor, right, staff member comes in. He said, "Hey, Alan, listen, you got to be on alert." He said, "You know, on this unit, because you got one of your guys. He just got some bad news that his mother passed away, right? So you got to keep an eye on him, right? Because they can be suicidal, being locked up. They can't control. They don't have no control of the situation. They're not gonna have
Yeah,
access, right?
yeah.
So it's a suicidal, you know, emotion for inmates in
Mm,
jail, right?
yeah.
So I go over to him, and this is a guy that I build rapport with before we talk about the scriptures, and so because I used to lead in a Bible teaching in jail, right? I was doing starting trouble in jail too, and so and so and I'm like, yo, I can't remember his name, and I'm like, yo, it's gonna be all right, my brother. He said, no, man, you don't understand. He was from Florida. He had that
Mm,
deep Florida accent. He said, no, man, you don't understand, man. You don't understand. I was like, what do you mean I don't understand? I get it, man. You lost your moms, and we're gonna try to, get you through this. We're gonna work through this. No, but you don't understand, Alan. You don't understand, man. He said that was my girl, man. That was my girl. I'm like, what do you mean?
really?
I'm like, what do you mean?
Damn.
Wow.
No, man, you don't understand. That was my girl, man. That was my girl. Yo, all gold teeth. The front row, the top row, and the bottom row, all gold teeth. No, man,
Mm.
I'm a girl, man. I'm a girl. I'm like, what do you mean that's a girl? Man, I don't understand. Like, yo, I'm confused now. He said, nah, man, we used to rob banks together, man.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. I was like, whoa. I like, yeah,
She taught him the
Wow.
game.
and
She did. She.
my mother used to say, you just like your dad. I'm like, wow.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow.
Well, you thought you had it bad. Like,
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
the dysfunction. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
She was in another jail and
Mm.
she
Oh
died.
God
really?
She died
Oh
in jail. They both got
no.
arrested. They used to rob banks together.
Oh
damn.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Almost sound like a Medea movie.
And this was, this is a damn. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, it was crazy. That right there blew my mind. I was like, I had no idea that was gonna come out of him.
Mhm.
Right.
Mm,
But
mm, mm,
okay, would you say
mm,
son
mm.
husband?
Yeah. Yeah. And even his term, my girl, my girl. Like
My
again, he's
girl,
using
my girl,
inappropriate
like
terms for his
not my
mother.
mother, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like a daughter saying that's my man to her father. Like it's so
yeah.
inappropriate. We know that, right? But when a man says that about his mother, we give him leeway because we're
Yes,
dealing with
yes,
women, right?
yes. Right, right.
Yeah.
Crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, that's a crazy. That's one of the craziest counseling sessions I ever had. Right.
Oh, I imagine that's complicated.
I'm
Oh
trying to
gosh.
pull out of him, trying to get him to talk. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
And that came out like I didn't
You
know what to
talked
do
right.
with
Wow.
You
that.
talked
I
right.
did not. I was stuck.
Wow.
I was stuck. I didn't know what to do with that one right there. Right.
Mm.
So, brother Sheldon says, I am from the DMV like KD, and he won the MVP. He called her the real MVP. No mention of the men that coached him and got
Mm.
him out of seat pleasant MD and into coaching programs. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That is true. I never really thought of it like that. But yeah, I mean that his mom's personified, the end all be all, right? He said also Tupac's dad did an interview talking about how he was alienated from Tupac's by the mother,
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Mm.
saw that.
refused to let
Mm.
him see Tupac in the hospital when he got shot the first time. Wow.
Really?
It was so bad that she allowed him to grow up that his father had actually died. But the
She
man
fed
she
the
told
lie?
the man she told him was his father was not his father.
Mm.
That's how bad the manipulation was for this woman.
Wow.
But she's taught it as this
Oh,
goddess.
yeah, the goddess, and then the
Mhm.
connection with the movement, with the Panthers, and
Yep. The
Father
Queen Mother
Shalom,
Earth,
and
and
all
she,
of that, right? Yeah,
and she beat the
Civil rights,
Supreme Court.
the liberation, right?
Wow, this is wow.
Mm.
Inappropriate relationship
And
too.
and mind you,
Yeah.
in that movement, there were a lot of feminists. Like
Hmm.
those men
Yes.
were feminists.
Yeah, that's how
Men-
they infiltrated the community.
And those men were feminists.
Yeah,
Oh,
That's the other
they
thing
were
too.
raised.
Those men were feminists. Yeah, and
my
like
black
the Black
sister.
Panthers movement and those black liberation
Really?
movement. Yeah, they were
They were
feminists. They
feminists and all
ultimately were
that
communists.
macho.
They're communists. They're communists.
Mm.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that black power thing was a smoke screen.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So yeah, okay. So I guess we got a consensus on that. Okay, so can we say that there is something to be said about the Hebraic weaning and its significance with Isaac, like scriptures like with Isaac, and what happened with Hagar and Ishmael when he was weaned? What was that scripture? That's Genesis 25. We haven't looked at any scripture today. I think that's Genesis 25. Not 25 is when Abraham died, right?
Yeah. The
Okay, let me
first time he got taken away. Yeah.
yeah, when he got sent
Genesis 21.
21. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's pull it up. Let's go there. Let's go there. Let's act like we're gonna dig in the word tonight.
Well, of course, we're going to dig in the word.
Let's act like it. All right, so here it goes. Uh you want to read that, brother Jay? Can you read it, or Aki?
I'm a step away for like 2 minutes. I'm gonna pass it to Aki.
Okay, Aki, you gonna read that or no? Can you see it?
I can see it.
You can see it. All right.
Yeah,
I could enlarge it up a little bit more if that makes it easier for you.
I can see it.
All right, there we go. All right.
Then the Lord took note of Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah as he had promised. So Sarah conceived and bore a son to Abraham in his old age, at the appointed time in which God had spoken to him. Abraham called the name of his son who was born to him, whom Sarah bore to him, Isaac. Then Abraham circumcised his son Isaac when he was 8 days old, as God commanded him. Now Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. Sarah said, God has made laughter for me. Everyone who hears will laugh with me. And she said, who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age. The child grew and was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast on the day that Isaac was weaned.
Stop right there.
Mm.
What does it mean to be weaned? Weaned. Weaned. What does that mean to be weaned?
I think I actually have to look that one up.
Taken off the breast of the mother, taken away from the breast.
Break from the breast. Yeah, that's what we say here in English, right?
Strong's H1580. Gamal.
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 Gamal. All right, so a gamal, primitive root, to treat a person well or ill, a benefit or requite, by implication or toil, to ripen, right? To wean, bestow on, deal bountifully, right? It's using the word wean, but it's not really giving us a definition of wean. We're gonna have to use an English definition of wean. Let's see, Genesis 20 here, 21. Genesis 21. Here we go. I'm imperfect in 2021. So in the Hebrew, it is transitive, ripen, bear, ripe, right? So when it's time to blossom, right?
Yeah.
Wing. So let's look at this in a in English? Okay, to wean is accustom an infant or other young mammal to food other than its mother's milk, right? So it's to accustom to food other than its mother's milk. So to accustom an infant or young mammal to food other than its mother's milk. Accustom someone to managing without something on which they have been become dependent on, like, or of which they have become excessively fond, right? So, like, going back to the image in the Game of Thrones, the little boy, right, in that particular series and episode he wasn't weaned. Obviously, he was about 9 years old and he was still suckling from his mother's breast, right? And so
Yeah.
he was never weaned, right? So he wasn't never accustomed to managing without her breast, which he had become dependent, and he also become dependent excessively, right? And he became
Yeah.
very fond of it, right? As you can see here in this definition, be strongly influenced by something, especially from an early age. So, as you can see, that's basically what happened. So, but in Hebraic culture, now let's take us back to the passage. In Hebraic culture, based on what we see here in the passage, right? There was a feast, there was a festival, because the little boy, Isaac, no longer was sucking on his mom's breast. And I doubt he was 9 years old when this happened. Right? Right? I doubt he was 9 years old. And we can tell that he was not 9 years old when the next few verses, right? Now, Sarah, you want to continue reading, brother? I don't want to. Now, Sarah.
Now, now Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, whom she had borne to Abraham, mocking. Therefore she said to Abraham, drive out this maid and her son, for the son of his maid shall not be an heir with my son Isaac. The matter distressed Abraham greatly because of his son. But God said to Abraham, do not be distressed because of the lad and your maid. Whatever Sarah tells you, listen to her, for through Isaac your descendants shall be named. And of the son of the maid I will make a nation also, because he is your descendant. So Abraham rose early in the morning and took bread and a skin of water and gave them to Hagar, putting them on her shoulder, and gave her the boy and sent her away. And she departed and wandered about in the wilderness of Beersheba. When the water in the skin was used up, she left the boy.
You can stop right there. We don't have to read, but I mean, clearly here, this little boy was old enough to know how to tease, right? Obviously, at this point, right? And we could tell going back based on their ages. Abraham was 99. How old was Abraham when Ishmael was born? Right. So Ishmael was conceived about 10 to 15 years after he left. So he had to been about 75 between he had to been about 85 between 85 and 90 when he had Ishmael, right? And then we know Isaac came like another 10 to 15 years after that. So this boy was anywhere between 10 to 15 years older than his little brother Isaac, right? Ishmael, right? He was about 10 to 15 years, probably 13 years older than his brother Ishmael, right? So, but why do you think he was teasing him?
I think he learned it from his mother.
He learned it
The
from the mother.
disrespect.
He learned it from the mother. Now, at what point did the mother disrespect? Where do we see that with the mother disrespecting? How did you, or teaching this to this boy, or the mother disrespecting? Where do we see that at?
Well, wasn't the story about Sarah's maid thinking that she was
Right. So about 13, 14 years earlier, right? Okay. Now Sarah, Abraham's wife, right? Want to read that, Aki?
Now Sarah, Abraham's wife, had borne him no children, and she had an Egyptian maid whose name was Hagar. So Sarah said to Abram, Now behold, the Lord has prevented me from bearing children. Please go into my maid. I will obtain perhaps I will obtain children through her. And Abraham listened to the voice of Sarai. After Abram lived 10 years in the land of Canaan, Abram's wife Sarai took Hagar the Egyptian, her maid, and gave her to her husband Abram as his wife.
So it was 10 years. So it's 10 years and she conceived. So he's about 11 years, 11, 12 years older than his brother Isaac. Right. Okay. All right. Okay. So now go ahead, continue.
He went into Hagar and she conceived, and when she saw that he had conceived, her mistress was despised in her sight. And Sarai said to Abram, may the wrong done be upon you. I gave my maid into your arms, but when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her sight. May the Lord judge between you and me. But Abram said to Sarai, behold, your maid is in your power. Do to her what is good in your sight. So Sarai treated her harshly, and she fled from her presence.
All right, you can stop right there. All right, so as we see it, about 11, 12 years earlier, right? This same behavior, pretty much, contempt or I would just say ill-mannered, right, or disrespect is what Hagar showed Sarai, right? She got puffed up in her pregnancy syndrome, right? And she began to look down upon her mistress who was not able to bear children or conceive, right? She was barren. So she looks at her with contempt, right? I got the baby and you don't, right? My child is going to be the heir through me, not through you, right? So this, you can tell this is kind of like the look that she's given to her, right? I'm the fruitful wife, right? That you can only imagine. So now, fast forward 11, 12 years later, what do you see here? When Isaac is weaned, what happens? What's the correlation? What's the connection?
Well, he's now like changing his status from being on his mother to going towards his father, weaned away from his mother. But I find it. You mentioned something that just clicked with me. He had 11 years of thinking that he was the heir, that he was the special
Right,
firstborn son and all that. So
right.
you
Because
know,
remember,
mhm.
when did Sarah learn that she is the designated wife?
Wasn't until long later. Yeah.
A year before Abram turned 100.
Yeah. That's many years later. 10 years
Right.
later.
So none of them knew that Sarah was going to be the chosen wife.
Hmm.
Up until that point, because it's like it's not until I think it's in Genesis 18 is when Yah appears to Abram in front of Sarah to really tell Abram that Sarah is going to conceive. This time, a year from now, you're gonna have a son, right? And so, she's 99 years old, right? So she had to been about 89 when Ishmael was when she had this issue going on with her maid her maid servant Hagar disrespecting her with contempt, right? So now fast forward this, right? What's the connection, right? Ishmael is now, right, showing contempt towards Isaac because if anything, he should really have respect because Isaac has preeminence over him. Right? So, sounds similar. Sarah had preeminence over Hagar.
She always did. Yeah.
Right? Well, Isaac, because he's the chosen, right? Which is what Yah said, right? Going back when all of this went down, Yah said this a year earlier that his promised seed was going to come through not Hagar, but come through who? Sarah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so now what does that make Isaac? They makes Isaac the promised seed, which gives him preeminence.
Mm-hmm.
It makes him the firstborn,
Mm-hmm.
not by tradition, but through preemptions, through promise. Right. And so now through promise, he has preeminence over Ishmael. And so Ishmael does not like that. You're the oldest, but yet, like kind of like Esau. How did Esau feel when Jacob had his birthright? He didn't like it.
Terrible.
Yeah, he didn't like it. He didn't like it. So that's what.
I know another example, brother, is Joseph and his brothers when Joseph was having all the dreams about him ruling over his
Yes,
brothers.
yes, he had preeminence over his brothers. So now I want to make the connection here with the topic at hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that where did Ishmael learn, right, these sentiments of contempt? Where did he get that from?
Had to be from his mammy.
He had to be from his mammy, right?
He got it from his mama.
He got it from his mama. And remember, his mama spent some time away from the home.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So she was out there like a single mom, out there in them Canaan streets.
You know, I'm also seeing the hierarchy of polygyny here. You know, Sarah was the mistress.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Hagar was the consort or concubine.
Mm-hmm.
But the seed that came through the mistress had the preeminence over the seed that came through the consort or concubine.
Right. And as you can see, this is Satan's attack, right, with the son husband spirit on polygamy. Right. So now patriarchy is attacked here, right? Because this is now an attack against, the patriarchal structure of Abraham's house.
Oh yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it is also an example that this can still happen within a marriage as well.
Mm-hmm.
The woman can
exactly
try to do that.
Exactly. But it was patriarchal in sending her away the second time, right? She was sent away. Abraham didn't like it, right? He was distressed, what we read, right? But y'all say, listen to your woman. She's talking facts, right? Yo, this woman got to go. Because if he stays and he has this attitude, he's going to be a problem.
So protected. Yeah.
Right. So, Isaac is being weaned now. What happens when Isaac starts talking? What happens when the two of them are alone? Will he do something physically to harm his brother? So this was all about protecting the patriarchy.
Yeah.
Protecting the promise. Right? Protecting the promise, right? Okay. All right. Cool. Let's look at another video clip. Okay, we've been looking at video clips. I don't know if I should show this video clip because this one may get me striked.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna stay away from this one. It's definitely a corporate one, so I better stay away from that one.
Do you want to describe what it was? Which one was
this one was by I forget the brother's name. It's Fatherly Strength. This is I forgot his name. But he's talking about, I can't quite remember because I can't quite remember, but he is talking about the son husband problem, right?
Sounds like a good clip to use.
Yeah, like a good clip to use, but it's hard to. I mean, the thing is I don't want to get a strike. I don't want to get a strike for it, right?
Really?
Yeah, I don't want to get a strike for this.
It should be covered under fair use.
No, but if it's a corporation, right?
Huh?
Yeah, sometimes they give you. I've gotten issues with it. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, corporations. If it's a corporate, right? Okay. Titus 2 touches on this idea of training young women, and I would say particularly girls, into being women, and young boys being men, or young men becoming good men, right? Let's go there. Titus 2. So here it goes. This Titus 2:3. It says this. Brother Akif, could you read that for me, please?
Older women likewise are to be reverent in their behavior, not malicious gossips, nor enslaved to much wine, teaching what is good, so that they may encourage the young women to love their husbands, to love their children, to be sensible, pure, workers at home, kind, being subject to their own husbands, so that the word of God will not be dishonored. Likewise, urge the young men to be sensible in all things, show yourself to be an example of good deeds, with purity and doctrine, dignified, sound in speech, which is beyond reproach, so that the opponent will be put to shame, having nothing bad to say about us.
All right, so stop right there. So now here's a culture here that he's saying should be established within the community, should be established within the assembly, right? It is the older women's responsibility to teach the younger women. It is the older men's responsibility to teach the younger men. See the separation? See that the principle of co-ed did not exist within the first century assembly.
Really? Wait a minute, but Christianity tells us that everybody's equal.
Everybody's equal, right? There's neither male nor female, right?
Right.
Right. But yeah, what a young woman or young lady needs to learn is distinct from what a young boy needs to learn.
That's the point. Yeah.
That's the point. Like, go back to verse 3. Verse 3, it says, older women likewise are to be reverent in their behavior, not malicious, gossips, or enslaved to much wine, teaching what is good, right? So that they may encourage the young women to love their husbands, to love their children, to be sensible, to be pure, workers at home, kind, be subject to their own husbands, so that the word of Yah will not be dishonored. So older women's responsibility is first of all to be an example themselves,
right?
So that they are able to teach younger women to be supportive to their husbands, to love their husbands, love their children, be submissive to their husbands, be chase keepers at homes, right? This is what the older women should be teaching younger women to do, right? On the other side, he's saying, likewise, urge young men. So now he's talking to men, because Timothy is a man, urge the young men to be sensible in all things. So he's got to be sensible. He can't be emotional.
Be
He has to
logical.
be
Yeah.
logical, right? He can't be sensitive to menstrual cycles, right? In all things, show yourself to be an example of good deeds with purity and doctrine and dignified, right? Sound in speech, which is beyond reproach, so that the opponent will be put to shame, having nothing bad to say about us. So it makes us look bad, right? When men are not sensible, men are not walking in good deeds and purity and in doctrine, and they're not dignified, right? It makes us look bad when men are not sound in the things that they're saying, right? And that men are are bringing shame, and now this makes all of us look bad, right? And so this is the reason why there had to be distinctions between what's being taught to the young men from what's being taught to the young women. And I would peradventure to add on to that, this is what's different for what you teach little boys from what you teach little girls.
For sure.
Right? So it doesn't just start. See, He's talking about addressing young women and young men because now he's talking about dealing with adults in the assembly. But it's the parents' responsibility to now teach those distinctions between their sons and their daughters at home, right? So, but this just gives us a framework that it wasn't co-ed. They didn't blur the lines, right? What do you guys say on that?
In verse 6, I want to hit on that word sensible. So when they're saying sensible, that means these were young men of common sense or good judgment. Oxford definition says to choose in accordance with wisdom or prudence, likely to be of a benefit. So these weren't every young man. It almost gives us the impression that they had to be approved amongst the elders or the other men of the group. So setting that in place,
right?
They weren't just regular dudes off the street just because they had, what's the PG word? Male genitalia didn't mean that they were sensible men. Okay.
Right.
And also didn't mean that they can handle a wife in the household.
Exactly.
So you're urging them. So you're training them. Urge means to train, right?
Right. In Strong's definition is that it is to be here. Oh, notice this. Let's go back here to the usage. To be of sound mind, right? To be in one's right mind, right? To exercise self-control, right? To put a moderate estimate upon oneself, think of oneself soberly, to curb one's passions. Ain't that a sticker for the son husband, right?
Right.
He can't curb his passions. Why? Because his passions is owned by his mother.
And he's never really learned how to do that. Like
right.
The whole thing about them being emotional is because there's never been a man to show him how to tame that and redirect it.
Right. He's never seen the order.
Right.
No, but it's actually the opposite because as women, we train our children to be emotional. We spank you when we are emotional. We correct you when we are upset.
Right.
And so the little boy learns a lot about emotions.
Learn a lot about emotions.
And become emotional when he's upset as well, like he's learning from his
right.
mother.
But he can't control it because in order to make sound decisions, you have to control your emotions. Like
in order to be sensible.
You can't think about the first sin, right? Because you listen to the voice of your woman. What was that emotion? You emotionally allowed your woman to captivate you over what I soundly said to you. What I soundly said to you, right? And so in order to lead, you can't lead by emotion. Right? Or there's going to be problems with what you're leading, right? If it's all based on emotions, there's going to be problems, right? Okay. All right.
And so another interesting point is that the no co-ed in our culture also stands for weaning, because the weaning is symbolic of also pulling the child away from the mother. Like it's a time to put, even in tribal African times, they used to take the children away and bring them with the men. To hang out. The little boys will hang out with the men now.
Yes, because you see this when Isaac is being sacrificed by his father. There was this ritual of him going with his father to do the sacrifices. You see what I'm saying? And so you don't hear any mention of Abram taking his daughters, right, to go do this, right? So there's a distinction in terms of what the father will lead the boys to do versus what the mothers will lead the girls to do. And that's all training in the home. That's all training in the home, right? Because where did Cain and Abel learn how to sacrifice?
Yeah, exactly. Somebody taught them that. Yeah.
Right. Where did somebody taught? Was it Eve?
No.
Okay. All right. So now this is a rhetorical question. Does any of you, right? and I just want you to reflect. I don't want you to give an answer. Does any of you think or know that you could possibly be a son husband yourself?
I know I can't be one.
You can't be one. If you're one, then we really got problems. We're
I know
doomed.
you told me not to answer, but I mean that's a clear.
No, that means the gates of hell have prevailed.
She had to get that out the way in case anybody
Yeah,
had
just in case.
questions.
Yeah, get that out of the way. Right.
But yeah, I can definitely say I was I was growing to be one. Definitely growing to be one. And there's still some, and even today there's still some conflict with it because like like Adam, you sympathize with you sympathize with this creation or emotion. But when you come out of yourself and come out of that lean onto your own understanding of the situation and you lean onto the word,
right?
When I say it really makes things clear about how these spirits operate,
right?
And you just looking back like, wow,
yeah,
I fell for that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's always a play on emotions. It's always a play on the flesh. It's the works of the flesh. He's working your flesh.
Well, I mean,
it's always a play on it, right?
they got two gears. They're either going to emasculate you, just like you were saying earlier. Well, you just like your dad. That's a go-to spell that they cast, or they try to hit you in the emotions with the crying and all my life I had to fight. They got two different gears, and they're like, one of them's going to get them. If one doesn't get them, I'll switch to the other.
Right.
So it's all just manipulation, man.
All manipulation. That's all it is. That's all it is. That's all it is. Yeah. Okay. So we got a comment. Let's get this comment. Okay. This is Brother Sheldon. Speaking of co-ed, I had my sons was in a Cub Scout pack and it was open up to let girls in it. Yeah, that's the new thing that they're doing now, right? As they did the Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, they have went so far hard left right now. Yeah, they blur the lines. They don't want it to be a distinction between girls and boys, right? Which I thought was a big no-no, right? I mean, they were dead a few years back when they started allowing gay men to lead the Boys Scout.
Oh really? Oh,
well, I mean,
yeah, they're so given to the culture. Needless to say, I took them out of that pack. I guess I have to. Yeah, you do.
Oh yeah.
There's no question about that, brother. Yeah, it's sad. It's sad, but I mean, this is the sign of the times. Yeah, you're gonna say, Brother Jay?
No, I was just gonna say they were there before. It just wasn't okay in the society to be open with it.
Right.
They were there.
Right. But before you had there were certain codes, like it wasn't allowed.
Yeah.
And even though they were there, it wasn't allowed. Like you couldn't be there.
You better act straight.
In other words, you couldn't be a tranny talking about you gonna be a scout leader.
Oh yeah.
Today you could be a tranny and you could be a scout leader, right? A woman can lead the Boy Scouts.
No, really? No.
They are.
Yo, that is a shame. Really?
Dead. It's dead. It's dead. It's dead.
Is there no safe male spaces anymore? Like seriously, for boys to just be raised by men?
Yeah, that's the whole point. It starts off with, okay, if you got the boys this, you gotta have the girls. If you have the men's this, you have it. So you have men's football. Now you got women's football. You have men's baseball. You have women's baseball. You got men's basketball. You got women's basketball. So whatever a man does, now you got to have this space for women. Then you want women that want to also be a part of what the men are actually doing, right?
Yeah. And therefore, Deborah's on the Masculine Monday.
Yeah, she's in our space. Oh man, wow. Okay, good. All right. So let's take it further. Okay. So what is the solution, or is there one for mothers who are inflicting this on boys becoming men? Is there a solution for this? son husband? Is there a biblical solution? Like what's the solution, right? I mean, what
Well,
we just read.
I think that Timothy just gave you that, right?
Yeah. Titus 2. Yeah.
Titus.
Mhm. Yeah, it's certainly the remedy is that there has to be non-co-ed distinctions that intentionally drive feminine qualities into girls and masculine qualities into boys, because that's what's happening between those two distinct how would you say mode of trainings, right? One is
It
geared
always
towards the femininity of the girl becoming a woman, right? That's going to be a good healthy. And the other one is geared towards the boys that will become a good leader. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think simply the remedy is father custody,
Quality
and
custody.
that'll knock out a lot of this.
That sounds like a live stream about father custody. Where did I hear that before?
the father should be yeah.
Yeah. Maybe
That was like
yeah,
3
maybe we can,
Shabbats ago.
yeah, we
Two
can put those
Shabbats
links
ago.
in the description box. Yes.
Yeah.
The live stream on Shabbat, which was turned into a series, right? About
Yeah.
the objections, 10 objections to fathers having custody.
Oh yeah.
Or why fathers shouldn't have custody, right?
But that's really the answer, and take out the feminist answer. I always say, I've had to say this too often. Like, the exception doesn't disprove the rule.
Right.
Majority of fathers still make the better parent.
Right.
Who cares about the few that that mess it up?
And like I said, you can have a mother who literally can raise a boy into a man who goes to school, he gets a good education, he gets a good job, he doesn't how would you say, never gets in trouble, right, with the law, anything like that. So he has this clean, squeaky clean path that he's taken. But when it comes to him dealing with in relationships with women, intimate relationships, right, marriage, and comes to him dealing with just relationships, period, right, there's some deficits that he's gonna have, right?
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's
Brother Michael, sorry to interrupt you, but that reminds me of the doctor that you introduced me to today.
Nicolosi.
Yeah.
Dr.
About
Nicolosi.
the importance of children from the age of 2.5 to 3 to bond with their fathers.
Their fathers, right.
The boys.
Let me see if I can pull a clip up. Hold on a second. Let me see. Dr. Joseph Nicolosi. By any chance, have you ever heard of Dr. Nicolosi, Brother Jeremy? Any of you in the chat room, you ever heard of Dr. Nicolosi?
No, sir.
Yeah, he's a psychologist who deals with sexual deviant behavior, sexual behavior, and he does a lot of work, or has done a lot of work, and he's created he's a co-founder, right, of these what do you call it, disciplines or practices. I don't know how would you say, I don't know what's the best way to word it, Sister D. Like
their clinics for rehabilitation
and prevention of homosexuality, right? Which
for men who choose to, like, they're not forcing them. If they desire to be no longer homosexual, they voluntarily come into their clinic.
And the gay community, you obviously you can imagine, is livid. They just do not, and they know about them, right? Because they don't want to accept the idea that a person because the whole idea coming from the movement is that homosexuality is something that you're born with, right?
I was just about to say, but my brother and my sister, they were born that way. They didn't choose that.
Right.
God made them that way, and the pastor and the bishop.
Yeah. Right. Here we go.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's why we're bringing this up, because there's some components of it are related to single mothers and having no fathers on it. That's the whole point he's trying to say.
I think a lot of it is related to that. I mean, even when you have two parents in the households, you can still see kind of like the single mother syndrome happening, where she's kind of over everything, and the man is just going off this happy wife, happy life thing.
Yeah. All right. So let's go.
And if everybody's pandering to the mother, even the husband's pandering to the mother, the the boy learns that.
Oh yeah. Meanwhile, she gonna do 3 bottles of wine a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go. All right. So this is Dr. Joseph Nicolosi Jr., but his father is the founder of this organization. I forget the name of the organization that he co-founded, but this is the type of therapy that they do. And now this is his son explaining what they actually teach. And here we go.
About your question about when is the boy supposed to bond with the father. You could go to a daycare in Manhattan. You could in upscale Manhattan. You can go to a tribe in Uganda. You are going to find boys around 2.5 who get this surge of interest in gender, and they're going to be into it. Shows up in different cultures, but in our culture, it's going to be Superman, Batman, Iron Man. The boy is often drawn to these larger than life male figures, and we see it again and again and again. And at that developmental stage, the boy is trying to figure out, wait, there are two kinds of people in this world, and like, which one am I? And the girl is thinking this too at this developmental stage, but the boy has the additional task of saying, well, I've been identified with my mother my whole life, and I'm different. My body is different. I'm more like this other guy. Language adds to this because I'm being called he instead of she. So I guess about your question about when is the boy supposed to bond with the father.
So he's saying that this happens about around the age 2.5, 3. And it's really it's another way that they phrase it. They call it, when does he achieve his masculinity? Right. And this is the age when boys achieve their masculinity. Right. And there's reasons as to why he achieves his masculinity at this age. And there are things that goes into, and there's things that facilitate him achieving his masculinity at this particular age. And it's not something that automatically comes. It has to be achieved. Right. It's like achieving a degree. Right. Masculinity is something that has to be achieved. Not all boys have learned how to achieve their masculinity. And so therefore they become effeminate, they become homosexual, or they become hypersexual, right? They become womanizers, right? And so that's where we saw in the article that we were reading about the incest, the emotional incest. And we read the article, about the emotional incest, and it was one of the results of the son husband effect, the emotional incest. What it actually causes, right, is what they said, the inappropriate relationships or the dysfunction in relationships, right, and it also causes sexual perversion, right. It causes addiction to sex, right? Like porn or what have you. That's the result of it, right? And it's crazy how all of this stems from what's supposed to be achieved at age 2.5 and 3 years old.
I find that's amazing age, because that's also the age where women should be weaned, like the child should be also weaned from the mother at that
Right.
age.
Now take us back to Isaac, right? So now you're talking around about the age where he's about 2-3 years old, right? And he's no longer on the mother's breast, right? On Sarah's breast. All right. So I got another one from him, and we can look at that one.
A 7-year-old and a 1-year-old are going through different things. So kids they go through these developmental stages, and the developmental stages are the same for boys and girls up until about 2.5 years of age, give or take a few months. This is what's called the gender identity phase of development. This is the first time that a boy has an additional developmental task that the girl doesn't have. And that is to disidentify from the mother and to identify with the father. And in some homes, that task is a lot harder for the boy. And according to the theory, according to the model, based on 1,000 men that my father treated, or more than 1,000, when the father is more distant or detached, critical, and the mother is more high anxiety, over involved, and sometimes intrusive, and we have a boy who's more temperamental, a 7-year-old and a 1-year-old are going through different things. So kids they go through these developmental stages, and the developmental stages are the same for boys and girls up until about 2.5 years of age, give or take a few months. This is what's called the gender identity phase of development. This is the first time that a boy has an additional developmental task that the girl doesn't have. And that is to disidentify from the mother and to identify with the father. And in some homes, that task is a lot harder for the boy. And according to the theory, according to the model, based on 1,000 men that my father treated, or more than 1,000, when the father is more distant or detached, critical, and the mother is more high anxiety, over involved, and sometimes intrusive, and we have a boy who's more temperamental.
Right. So it's a triad dynamic. As the devil called it, the perfect storm. Right. So you got a mother that's intrusive, domineering, the mother that's shaping a son husband. Right. And then she interferes with the father's relation. She may probably alienate the child from the father, right? She interferes with the father, trying to be too rough and, trying to get the boy to man up, right? And then you have the dynamic with the father's weak, right? And, he might be, absent in the boy's life. He may be abusive. He may be verbal abusive, physical abusive, right? He may be there, but he just checks out for some whatever reason. All of those are examples of a weak father figure. And then you have this boy with a certain temperament. It becomes a perfect storm.
Yeah.
Right.
And I like what he was trying to teach is that there's a key moment in a child's development that 2.5 to 3 years old, when the boy has to identify, he has to leave his mother. Because he was already initially bonded to her, but in order for him to bond with men and to know what a man is, he has to leave.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
And that is the moment where a lot of single mothers, we don't know he has to leave, or we keep him away from the fathers, or so they would never get that healthy bonding with the male,
right,
to understand what it means to be a male. And a mother cannot teach that.
And here's the thing, like back in the days, as opposed to today, right?
Yeah.
This whole idea of mothers taking the boys away from their fathers. Back in the days, the man could have been a shitty man, but the mother still saw that there was value in the son having a connection with his father, because she knew that she was incapable of making him into a man. And so we've come a long way, right?
Long way.
Long
And
way.
that's why he's saying that's why there's a rise in homosexuality going on right now.
Yes.
Because the child is not being able to make the crucial change.
That transition.
There's a barrier that's been
right,
put up in
right.
there.
It's harder for boys.
Yeah.
Because when children are first born, right, according to Dr. Nicolosi, when they're first born, they're already bonded with the mother from the womb.
Yeah.
The boys have to make a transition in order to achieve masculinity from mother, identifying with the mother, to identifying with the father.
Yeah.
And that's, in some homes, that's more of a challenge, right? That's more of a
And
challenge.
it's not even about identifying with the father. It's for his masculinity's sake, right? For him to become the male that God made him to be.
Right.
It's a must.
Right. He could be a janitor. He could be a scientist, right? He could be a police officer. He could be a professional football player. It doesn't matter. A pastor, it doesn't matter. He needs that masculinity. He needs masculinity Mondays.
He needs masculinity Mondays. Another point, I encourage you all to watch that whole episode he has. It's great information. But another one he made was the fact that when the father takes them at that young age, he usually roughs them up, plays with the kid, at a young age already wrestles with him, yes, or teases him a little bit more than the mother would, or calls him sissy, or something like harsh.
Right.
And if the mother interferes and starts comforting the child, she is actually doing more harm than good.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Spot on. Spot on. Brother Sheldon says you might be a son husband if you say things like happy wife, happy life. We all said it if we on. Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, it's cultural, right? It's cultural. He says you may also be a son husband if you engage in core play, right? you, you do the dishes and the laundry and tiptoe around her in hopes that you might get lucky with your own wife. Sadly, I have been there too. Yeah, confession time. Right. This is my confession. Right. Um, my bro is a son husband. He's out of control now at 30, total loser, druggie. Yeah. Wow. Demonic. And we haven't talked about this. I think you
The
mentioned it.
spiritual part,
There's
yeah.
a spiritual part of this, right? Because now what is she turning them on to? She's turning them on to those demons, right? The mother is literally turning the boy onto demons, right? That are there to rob, steal, and kill and destroy his masculinity, right? Right? What do you say, Brother Jay?
I I agree. It's just it's yeah, I agree. Just got me thinking over here.
Yeah, this
There's
is
a
this,
lot to
it's a
contemplate
lot.
on.
Yeah, it's a lot to contemplate on. You, Aki, Manalo, you got anything you want to say on that?
I was telling my sister last night how it's easier to deceive a woman than it is to deceive a man. And when a woman is taking a lead in that
Right.
household, whatever she's influenced by, it's easier for her to influence her son or sons and have them in error.
Right. Because they're children, they're impressionable, right?
Yeah,
Mm,
it's very dangerous.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I see it like the what we talked about last Masculine Monday of the woman, the strong woman, right? So the woman who thinks that she don't need no man,
Right.
and we're so strong, we are actually acting on behalf of the enemy in terms of making
As
it really
agent,
easy for him,
as
yeah, for him to now
yes,
attack the legacy of this man.
yes, she becomes an agent, right? And the idol, and granted, demons always attach themselves to idols. So what's the idol in all of this?
Ah, sure.
Asher, but no, what is okay? Asher is okay, the carved image, right? But and it is a demon Asher, but what is the idol that the woman is using to cause the boy to have devotion to? It would be her feelings, right?
Oh
She has to come first, right? This is why she's guilting him because everything has to revert back to her, right? She has to have that number one starting position, that starting spot. Can't nobody get her spot. He can't have no new woman. Forget that. You married to me, right? I brought you into this world, right? Yeah, yeah,
yeah, and that's also a little bit of arrogance to think that we can raise a boy better than a man can,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then
right?
and and how the other brother said, how it's demonic. It goes all the way back to who was that? Tammuz and his
Yeah.
mother.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah, good
He
point.
was he was the he was the original son husband.
yes, yes. Yep, yep, yep. Exactly, exactly. Or the whether in the Egyptian polytheism, where it says Horus, Isis, Osiris. Yeah.
Hmm.
Let me see. He got some more of in here. He says, we used to go to games, concerts, etc. Now she enabled him to use. Um, he like tries to fight me and shit. It's weird. I'm literally moving away from the city. It's too demonic. He lives here. He lives with her too. Wow.
My
Right.
brother. So sorry to hear
Screen,
that.
by the way, first one I caught. Well, welcome. Glad to have you. Thank you, thank you for chiming in, man. Thank you. You definitely add to the discussion. Don't let it be the last time, and don't keep that love to yourself either. Right? Hit the like, people. He said. He said that our dad was fine. The two divorced, and he died like 8 years ago. So, oops, was all right. Treated us the same. Pops. All right. Well, condolences to your dad, man. Yeah, but what are we saying here? What did we say? I know we said some things, right?
Yeah.
How single moms often create son husbands. What are we saying in this topic?
I think that we need to go back to the order the way Yah had laid out his kingdom, and that we all need to play the role that we were created to play. We play it well when we do that. When the woman falls into the mother role and knows when to give up the boy, continue raising the girls, you know.
Right, right. Yeah, indeed. What'd you say, Manilo?
I agree with Sister Deborah. It's like we just need to go back to how it's supposed to be. It's how the Bible established it.
Right. Exactly.
That the father takes the lead.
Exactly. That's right. Exactly. And not be afraid, right, of trusting Yah's way of doing things.
Yes.
Right. Because this all comes out of, like, as human beings think that they can do better. In this case, the woman thinks that she can do better than what Yah prescribes. Yeah. Brother Jay, what you say?
There's a lot of sick people out there.
With COVID, flu, what do you mean? Sick?
Just
got it.
All the above, I guess.
It's a pandemic of weirdos.
The amount of
it's addictive too, right?
Just the amount of demon worship, man, and how badly the kingdom of darkness is working. Like,
yeah,
just this topic alone, like when you see son husbands, like if we all sit back and watch this, we can think about 5 people, and that's 5 people, just nothing off the top of your head, man, that not only have been indoctrinated with this, but they're out there trying to get their, some of them are trying to get their shit together. Some of them can't properly connect with women and have an actual marriage or family.
Right.
Help. Some of them have lost their kids.
Yeah.
And then they're thinking about their children or their boys having to go through this. Like they're seeing this in real time, and wow. It's just that realization just hit me.
Yeah.
That it's a lot of us out there that are having to watch their children get ready to go through this, and then understanding that they're completely vulnerable because the man has been taken away. The protection, the one that trains them up, has been taken away, so they're vulnerable to becoming these son husbands, which are effeminate men, according to from the clip that you just played. It opens them up to to going down that path of homosexuality and stuff like that.
Yep. It does. Yeah, it does.
And if it's not, I mean, homosexuality is one part. The other one is simply just being weaker as a man.
Weaker, drugs, being a yes man.
Right. Yeah. So true. Napalm, he says quite a few things here.
He just telling a story here.
Yeah, he says really timely, right? He said he recently tried to fight me. I had to call the cops, and his mama comes save him. He said, and I don't like cops, bro. he said instead of letting the cops just break it up, Bro needs rehab bad. Anyway, excellent insights. He says, and my mom is a witch. She uses astrology. And that's very common too. A lot of this too, like with these women, they are going to see readers,
Ordeals.
palm readers, tarot readers, right? And they're raising their boys, right, while they're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy of the demonic influence that's going on, right? And
Mm-hmm.
he says she likes to sow discontent. Even her friends know she and my brother have a weird relationship. Reporting from the front. Well, thank you for being transparent and vulnerable with us, brother. But yes, it's a big problem, man. It's definitely a big problem. That but we have to employ what scriptures teach. We have to promote this, right? We have to encourage what the scriptures, because it's the solution, right? And we went through scripture today. There has to be a weaning process. There needs to be a co-ed um, mode of development between a boy and a girl, right? So these things have to be in place, and there are things that you teach a boy to be a man that men should be teaching the boys, right? And that women should be teaching the girls, right? And how to be a woman.
Yeah. Can I give you a little bit of hope, though, that even this doctor said that it's never too late for men to rebond with each other and to heal that wound.
Yes.
And you all have the power to do that for
Right.
you.
Right.
Each other.
Exactly. So, it may mean taking a man that you see or that is struggling with this, like under your wing, bond with them, connect with them, right? And because at the end of the day, these are souls.
Yeah.
Right. For Yah so loved the world, right? And he gave his only, that the promise is that all nations of the world will be blessed through Abraham, right? Not, so we have to, we in our modern day have to even, be a light to Sodom and Gomorrah, because there are souls in Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Okay, so announcements. First, with those of you who are watching, what do you say about this topic? How single moms often create son husbands. Do you agree that single moms, many oftentimes create son husbands? That there's these inappropriate relationships that's developed, right? That boys are growing up in these single mother homes, and they have so much of an attachment that they can't really function in relationships, committed relationships, marital relationships, romantic relationships themselves, right? I want to hear your thoughts. Please do like, comment, share, subscribe. Don't keep that love to yourself. Put this on to somebody else. Bless someone else with this. Share the link. And announcements. So this coming Shabbat, we just had Shabbat morning Bible dig stream. So we're not going to stream again for 2 weeks. Well, not 2 weeks, but it will be 2 Mondays from now. Yeah, it will be actually 2 Mondays from now. So that would be 2 weeks, right? So the next time will be 2 Mondays from now. So I'm gonna just take some time away, family time, and so in the meantime, look at the playbacks. I'm gonna add the links in the description box below of what we created, what we supplied here in the content, like the links, the articles, the videos, right? Anything else you guys want to add to that needs to be announced?
Yeah, and if you like what you see when you're watching the playbacks, don't forget to share those too.
Yeah, share them too. Right,
one of the best things you can do with any of this content is create your own little playlist for yourself. All of us have YouTube, and if you have a Samsung or an Android, most of those come with picture in picture. You can watch this stuff on the go from the playlist that you've created.
Yes.
And also take notes. Take notes. Pull out your Bible and read it along with us. Get in that word too.
Yes. Amen. Amen. Yeah, shalom, brother Marcos. Blessings to you, brother. Good to see you. Good to have you. He said, "I ain't
Shalom,
sharp."
shalom.
And the poem says, he says, so his issue has been keeping a girlfriend. He can't commit to a woman for marriage because he's busy worshiping his mom too. So he just dates and uses women. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I was mentioning earlier. Yeah.
that's the treadmill that they find themselves on, right? Sad thing, but it's a reality. All right. So now if you want to get in contact with any of us, here's my email address, Mike Allen at digginginthe.word.biz. If you have any questions or something which you like for me to talk with you about, you could hit me up on my email. As well as we have Brother Jeremy up here, the Word of the Sword Ministry. This is the call letters to his channel, right? So you can go onto his channel, like, comment, subscribe, and share, right? Do hit the share button again and again. And if you want some wisdom, we have Call for Wisdom, Sister Deborah here. This is the call letters for her channel, right? And so yeah, go on over to like, comment, share, subscribe, right? And yeah, definitely go get some of that wisdom. And brother Noah, he's not here with us so this evening, but he streams with us on a regular basis. And these are the call letters of his channel, Tree of the Field, right? So definitely you want to go on over and like, comment, subscribe, and do share, right? And share again, right? Yeah. So yeah, we got one more comment. I think that's this brother, right? Very educational brothers. Shalom, brother. Blessings. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. To y'all be the glory, man. To y'all be the glory. Yes, I had a good time. Had a good time. Did a good
Very much so. I enjoyed it. Thank you, Brother Michael, for sharing with us about this. And I think you're going to have a blog post soon on that topic coming up as well
time.
in your
Yes.
comment.
Yes. Yeah. 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 We're working on blogs. Filling up the blogs. Definitely need to build the blogs up. We need to add some articles, some literature onto the channel, onto the website, for sure, indeed. So yeah, we'll definitely include that on there. We do have them in a community post. But that was from the Shabbat morning Bible dig, right? The community
But
we post for this one.
yeah, there's one coming up for son
Son,
husband.
yeah, the son husband. Okay, yeah. So we'll have to put one together for that one for sure, indeed. So, brother, Aki, would you mind closing us out with a word of prayer?
Right. But yeah, we thank you for this live stream tonight. We thank you for the things that we learn and the things that we discuss, things that possibly free somebody to hear the stream tonight. And we just pray that we have a blessed night and that you just keep our family and friends. We pray for keep brother Mike and his family in prayer, his son for healing over his body, and we ask that you just continue to walk with us daily and just keep us and that we just grow stronger every day in you. And we pray that we all have a blessed night and just let your will be done in our lives. In the name of your son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, brother. And yeah, we pray for Sister Ari Heights, for her health. She's not feeling well this evening. We pray for her healing, touch her body. And we pray for all of the mothers who find themselves struggling with these feelings of wanting to um, take control, possess their sons in a way that's inappropriate. We pray that the light of your truth and your word will shine unto them, bring those whose feet are shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace, and to deliver the good news to them, to set them free, set these young boys, set these young men free, that you have called for your purpose. And we come against every demonic spirit that seeks to take captive and lay hold of your young men, your young boys, whom you have called to come into this world to be leaders. In the name of your son Yeshua HaMashiach, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All righty. there goes another one. We hit all cylinders, right, Brother Jay?
Yes, sir.
All right. For King and Kingdom, we bid you shalom. Good night, family. Blessings.
Shalom.
Thank you
King and
so much.
Kingdom.
Love you guys.